I turned 40 a couple of weeks ago, and my one goal this decade is to be able to grow a beard, Lumen, like yours. And I just look so rough. It does not, yeah. Hello and welcome to a different corner, a fantasy football podcast. I'm Manish Verma, and this is a George Michael themed fantasy football podcast where I grumble game week to game week with the guy who's not necessarily holding up six fingers in my face because I'm telling him he's going to be sacked in the morning, but he can confidently raise four fingers up to me because I've not beaten Dr. Luman Ali in fantasy football for the last 4 years, Luman. You have beaten me to our personal title 4 years running. I don't know beyond that because we have been playing a long time, but that was the quickest research I did this morning. 4 years on the trot, you've beaten me, Luman.
Yeah, but it's not been plain sailing. I still stay up at night haunted by names such as Callum Wilson and Jean-Philippe Mateta. So I don't forget these things, and yeah, it's not as plain sailing as you make out. You're a tough cookie.
I'm a tough. We're both tough cookies this season, Lumen, because we were both Haalandless for most of the season. We missed out on those hat trick points. Just imagine where we would be if
No,
we
I,
actually capitalized.
I'm not too down about that because I was getting enough points from elsewhere.
Hmm.
And in fact, my team started suffering when I bought Haaland in for that one game week
Yeah.
where home game against Southampton, I thought, right, this is the game where he's gonna go on a tear, and everyone who's double captained him, triple captained him will be, catching up to me. So I thought, just as a preemptive measure to put him in. So
Yeah.
in that sense, I don't have any regrets. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting week for both of us. I mean, how let's start off with you because
Go on.
um, how did you what did you end up on? I mean, and
So I did one transfer this week, which at probably my worst transfer of the season, where I brought in a player and he didn't play a minute, and I brought in Joel Veltman. I needed to get rid of my Fulham defender Anderson. They've got horrible fixtures. Fulham don't seem to keep clean sheets, and so I thought I need to get rid of him. Actually, I was really struggling. I don't know where to go with the defense. I wanted someone cheap, someone could I just throw in, and I went with Brighton at home to Southampton. They didn't keep a clean sheet, but my player didn't play a minute anyway. So I got Lewis Hall off the bench, who also conceded at Newcastle, so only got the 2 points. But that is probably the worst of my worries, you could say, because Captain Mo again turned up, got me 26 points, but across my midfield, Palmer, Saka, again, double digit returns from both of them. Saka 18, the guy is wow. And he gave up a penalty as well. It could have been more. Palmer, finally, we were talking about him last week, having not delivered for so long, now returns. What a goal again. This is the reason why you have to keep him in because you just know he's capable. Is he more capable at home? That's a question I'm now considering. Is he a bit more of a home boy? But they put away Villa and Chelsea in the title race, I think. And away from that, yeah, you call me the forward whisperer. It worked again, apart from the guy that you jinxed. I have Wissa, 8 points. I had Wood, 9 points, and I was holding out for Wood. I know he'd been blanking a couple of game weeks, but I was holding out for Ipswich at home. It worked. And Cunha, I thought he was going to do something. He's been in such good form, blanks against Wolves. But my total, 91 points. And it was a bit of a freak one because I scored fairly highly on a low scoring Saturday. I was like at 49. And I thought, okay, if I get another 20 points, 30 points, maybe. But I ended up with almost doubling it at 91 points I got. So I'm very happy with that. Again, I keep saying this is probably the highest I've been this season. I'm in now the top, 107, 110,000 ish. So, um, very happy with that. I'm getting nosebleeds from being so high up. I'm desperately thinking this can't last because I just don't. I'm reliant on Mo a lot, but I'm not the only one who did very well. Lumen, how about you?
I did decent as well. So let's start off with my transfers. So I did two transfers. One worked out with Saka, and the other one didn't work out with Cunha. The average this week was 60 points. I ended up on 91 points. Going into Sunday, I was on 22 points. So I
You
went from
keep doing
22.
this. You keep doing this. What yours is actually a game of two halves. You score low, and then you've got all to play for in the second. And the thing is, they're all turning up for you on the second game, the Sunday or the Monday games.
Yeah, so similar to yourself, Saka, Mo Salah, and Palmer. The difference was that I had Bruno Fernandes got me 9 points, and defensively, Martinez got me a clean sheet, Colwell got me a clean sheet, Keller got me a clean sheet. Where I was let down was with Cunha, home game. They scored 2 goals, and but I'll be honest with you, Cunha, I wasn't too disappointed with because you and I are so close. My thinking now is if he doesn't perform for me, he won't perform for you. Um, it's just straight up.
Just
Um,
dirty tactics, yeah.
I think what's been happening last few weeks is you're getting more points than I am.
Hmm.
And what happened was the reason why I was ahead of you in the early stages is because of my midfield. My midfield from the first game week to this game week has done well. And
Mm.
then our midfield started mirroring each other, and then your forwards started way like your forwards doing much better than mine. So that's why
Hmm.
you've been able to. And each week, I think this is the week when you're going to go ahead and somehow, somewhere, I don't know how, but I'm 4 points ahead of you. I don't know how that is. Something's got to give. And
Because
look,
you are inevitable. You are the Thanos of our league. You are inevitable, Lumen. You not won it, 4 years on the bounce for by luck, Lumen. You know what you're doing here.
yeah, but you're just on my tails. And you know what? I've realized this forward whisperer thing isn't new. Like I mentioned Callum Wilson, I mentioned Mateta. It's just you've got this thing with strikers. I don't know why, but they kill it for you. So yeah, I'm not. As long as you've got your strikers, I'm not banking on anything. But this week, what was fascinating
Hmm.
was we have the team of the week, right?
Yeah.
And the team of the week scored 152 points, which is high, right? But then you look at a couple of guys got freakish points returns. Sharda
Yeah.
got 23, Cliver got 20, and both of them got less than 1% ownership or there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
What was freakish was if you look at that team of the week, Salah's not in there, Chris Wood's not in there, Bruno Fernandez isn't in there,
Yeah.
Amad Diallo's not in there. There's loads of like guys who did well who didn't make it because it was just such a high scoring week.
Yeah.
But even then, and both of us to end up on 91 points off an average of 60
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
fantastic. So I'm on nine. I'm in the top 96,000. Um,
Wow.
gonna
Wow.
gonna enjoy it while it lasts. I'm in a bind here because I know I've got such a limited budget now, and I can't make transfers anymore, right?
Okay.
Because the price has gone up. So what I should have done, I know this is high time, and I think this is a strategy for long term, is do a -4, -8 to get players in before the price rise. Because
Mm.
before I could have afforded Odegaard, I desperately want Odegaard.
Yeah.
I can't afford him now. I if I identified my signings for the weeks ahead a couple of weeks ago, but instead of taking the plunge and hitting the, So, for example, I put Cunha and Saka in the
Mm,
middle of the matches last weekend because I knew the prices would go up, and
yeah.
Cunha's price has gone up by zero point 0.3 since I put him
Wow.
in the
Wow.
space of
That's
a
like,
week. Yeah,
wow. That's
that
crazy.
you have to keep an eye on the prices. You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna wait to see who's injured, who's fit. No, you just have to take the plunge. Otherwise,
Gosh.
you won't be able to afford players.
That is what I did not notice that about Cunha at all. I'm feeling a bit similar with Chris Wood, who's going to leave my team, but I'm worried about having to get him back in because I eventually probably will. It's a short term goodbye with Chris Wood. I definitely feel like I want to get him back in, but I'm again worried about that money. I, I say I'm worried about the money, but I'm kind of not because I'm Erling Haalandless, and I feel like this season of all seasons, I've been able to splash cash wherever I want, and because those sort of 8, 9 million players haven't been doing it, those budget players have been. So I've been able to load my team up there. But now the likes of Bruno Fernandes are coming up. Martin Odegaard are back. You just think, oh, that's like 8 million players,
Yeah,
pound players there each. How do I now fit them in? So I think it's a bit of a different one. Whereas before you're like, how can I get Haaland in? I haven't got the money. Now it's like, how can I get these kind of premium-ish midfielders
yeah,
in and enough of them? Only when they're hot, of course, and they are, well, they seem to be hot right now.
yeah.
They seem to be hot right now. So that is, yeah, you're right. I don't mind a -4. The -8 always stings a little bit for me, because it feels like they have to do something to justify the price. An appearance, fine, but it's not enough if you're doing a -8. So yeah.
Every day you can see that on under the scout section,
Hmm.
um, the price rises for the day, and already like for what day is it? I mean, Saka's gone up to 10.4.
Yeah.
Like
Gosh.
it's
Yeah.
just Robert Sanchez gone up to 4.8. Like you've got to be. I know what you're saying about Hollandless, but even then, if you want enough good players, you've got to
Yeah.
keep an eye on that.
Well, I want to talk to you about who you're looking at coming December, but let me just let's reflect quickly because there was a big game at the weekend. I started the show saying you can raise four fingers at me because that was obviously a Pep Guardiola reference at Anfield when he raised six fingers back to the Anfield faithful. Liverpool comfortably just tucked away, just like they were a mid-table side coming to Anfield, tucked away Man City, which is unheard of. Um, what did you make of the convincing nature of the win?
I think
Because that was what was so striking.
I think it said more about Man City than Liverpool. Liverpool have been good this season. Long way to go. I think people are getting carried away. I mean, especially when you've got a team like Arsenal on your tail, like 13 goals in the last three games.
We'll get
That's
to them.
that's
We'll
no
get to them.
joke. That's no joke. I think with Man City, the issue for me with Man City, there's some people, ex pros, who are talking about the motivation to keep on going, right?
Mm,
Which is a factor. But for me, um, we've mentioned it before. The last couple of 2, 3 transfer windows have not been great for them.
hmm.
Last season they got away with it because they had enough performances from their existing stars to
Yeah.
to get them through. Rodri is a big miss, but the replacements, they just in midfield, Kovacic and Gundogan, decent players, but because their age, if you compare that midfield to like Chelsea and Liverpool in terms of age profile and energy,
Mm.
I think they're suffering for that. It was a great win. Great to see Liverpool doing well, but we've got two.
Comfortably, comfortably. I
Yeah,
think
but
that's the thing.
we've got two brutal games coming up
Mm.
against what I would like to refer to as some of the more dirtier teams in the league, where they'll win at all costs, Newcastle and
Yeah.
Everton. So we're fearing injuries for that, put it that
Yeah,
way. I
yeah.
mean,
No,
so
Newcastle away for me is always a barometer of where a title challenging team is, and I that is a big one. And obviously, you got Merseyside derby, right? So that's just throws up all sorts. And that for me, I mean, I'm going to talk about it in a second because December for me, I've been looking at the fixtures for FPL players, but also the title race. And I've highlighted Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool as having somewhat favourable fixtures in
no, no,
December.
no, no,
Somewhat favourable
no, no.
fixtures, right?
I mean,
So
Liverpool, Newcastle, and Everton is not favourable away. I
the
mean,
way you guys are playing, the
nah,
way you guys are playing.
you can't say Newcastle, Everton away are favourable. Everton, they're always up for it in the Merseyside derby.
Mm,
Newcastle away, it doesn't matter what their form is. They're just not a nice team to play against because of their physicality, right?
mm.
And then we've also got Spurs as well, who I know I take the mick out of Spurs for being Spurs, but the way they are this season, they just, for whatever reason, they decide to do better against big teams.
Mm.
So no, I completely disagree with that. Man United and
I
and,
think
and
who
also
comes
also
out of that is
also
go on.
also Liverpool. You're talking about Arsenal as well, right? If I look at Arsenal's fixtures, right, they've got actually no, Arsenal should
Look,
be.
I'm not being coy about this like you, Lumen.
I'm not being
Arsenal's
coy.
if we want to be winning the title or in the race, Arsenal's December has to be a series of W's. That's what it has to be. Chelsea, somewhat similarly, but I think Chelsea have almost got a free hit this season because they're not expect they've got a new manager. They're not expected to be in a title race. They're doing extremely well to be in there,
Yeah.
but they've got an excellent December coming up. For me, I think okay,
So
Newcastle, Everton,
what
but
happened?
Liverpool
What
have
happened with
also
Arsenal at Newcastle?
we lost. We lost 1-0.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah,
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 you
yeah.
can't, you can't, you can't make out like it's an easy game. Yeah,
No, no, no.
yeah,
This is what I'm saying. This is why Newcastle away maybe Isaacless, however, that's a big factor. But Newcastle away is a massive one. And if, like, look, every week I'm looking at Liverpool results thinking, right, Liverpool, show me something. What's going on? And I was like, well, got all these wins together. Oh, lost to Forest. I'm like, okay. Then put all these other wins together. I'm like, okay, you know what? They haven't, who have they played? I was like, okay, Man City are coming home. Tuck them away. Villa, tuck them away. Like Liverpool is
J- j-
showing. I know you're saying,
j- j-
you're trying to play down your chances,
can I
but
stop? Can I stop you
Liverpool.
there because you said something hilarious, right? Which is what a lot of Arsenal fans have done. Who have Liverpool played? So in the league, we've played Man United, we've played
Mm,
Chelsea, we've played Arsenal, we've played Brighton, we've played Villa, we've played Man City. Like,
yeah.
who have you played? I mean, come on,
And I
let's
know, and
stop it now.
that's why I'm saying you got. But
So
hang on, you
no,
can't have it both ways, Lou, and you
no,
can't have
no,
it both
no, no.
ways.
We can't have it like, oh, before Man City, Liverpool haven't played anyone, right? Let me just remind you, we played before City. Played Villa, we played Brighton, we played
Hmm.
Arsenal, we played Chelsea, we played United.
Yeah,
Come
and
on.
so you're in this title race then, right?
No, as far as I'm concerned, right now it's too early for title race talk for any of the teams, right?
Really,
Yeah, yeah. There's
really.
too long way to go. If we're talking about title race, and I,
Mm.
I still think it's too early, but you talk about form teams. Arsenal are sizzling at the moment. I mean, is it as simple as Odegaard coming back? Is it that simple?
It sounds so simplistic. It feels like it. It feels like, but I say that the problem we were having without Odegaard is defensively. And I feel like we conceded two to West Ham. One was a worldy free kick, and the other one excellent. But that goal doesn't happen last season. There was a fantastic ball through, great finish, Wan-Bissaka. But that we cut that out last season, and we're still conceding chances. I've rewatching the highlights against Lisbon Champions League last week. We conceded chances, and this is not me saying like we're not in this or anything. That's my worry a little bit. Like Odegaard is back, fine. We're even more of a creative threat. I think. Whilst it unlocks Bukayo Saka, not that he needed much more unlocking, but it does unlock him even further. It has opened up more of Kai Havertz, I think, and I think for FPL wise, Kai Havertz. If I'm the forward whisperer, Kai Havertz should be someone people are looking at. As an Arsenal fan, I think he's going to be in the goals. My worry is defensively. And I don't know why, even with Odegaard now in the team, we're still conceding. I don't even care about goals. We're still conceding chances. I hate it when we concede chances. I
I,
like it just like a Liverpool versus Man City game where you're just like, you go there. There's nothing else other than a weird mistake by Van Dijk, which is a freak, right?
the ironic thing is you're saying go big on Arsenal up top, but get rid at the back. But you've had David Raya since day one.
I need to. That's a move I'm looking to ship out. That's someone I'm looking to ship out for
Takes up
sure.
too much
But
budget.
it takes up a lot of budget, 5.5, but also, I mean, my worry, where do I go with it? It's just like a couple 4.5 millions probably I could do. I've got problems elsewhere. I've got Adama Traore, who I need to, as a priority, get out. Chris Wood as a priority to get out for the next few game weeks as well. So I've got issues elsewhere to
Is
solve.
is one of those issues Bryan Mbuemo?
Luman, Bryan Mbuemo. What's happened to Bryan Mbuemo? Has the return of Wissa affected Bryan
It's
Mbuemo?
what you've said all along. Why you've not picked Mbuemo is because when Wiss is there, he doesn't. The output isn't there, and yeah, you've not been proven too wrong there.
Unlucky though. Unlucky. He should have got an assist, I thought, for that
Yeah,
one goal. And I was watching the highlights. He's still heavily involved for Brentford, so I'm not as keen to get him out. The issue for Brian Mbuemo is like when we're talking about Cole Palmer, if you got rid of Cole Palmer, who would you get? Actually, for Brian Mbuemo money, you could go for Bruno Fernandes. You could go for a Marcus Rashford. You know, there is Manu re-emergence that poses some questions for me. So that's the only issue with Brian Mbuemo for me is because there are others who I could get that money for, more for the money possibly, but. I'm a bit stuck on my transfer this game week. I don't know. How are you feeling about Brian?
there was a piece on the FPL website to say you might want to think about getting rid of him because of their fixture list, right? And they have got some tough fixtures, but then they've got on Saturday they got Newcastle at home, and the
Hmm.
Saturday after that they got Forest at home,
Yeah,
and they're just different at home. It's
they
just
are. They
they're
are.
just different at home, and I think I think if I had the budget, which I don't, I
Hmm.
would get Odegaard in for Mbuemo,
Yeah,
um, because Odegaard is
yeah.
is doing it at the moment. But yeah,
It helps that he's also shares penalty duty, so that's an option there. I think he's getting them assists. You know, he that creative midfielder is back for Arsenal, and there's no denying it. He going forward should be on everyone's thoughts. What's he got, like a few assists and on the bounce now? I think he's returned in the last three since he's come back. So yeah, for sure, Martin Odegaard should be on
I mean, let's have
everyone's
a
minds.
quick look at Odegaard. Yeah, 867.
Hmm.
So yeah, and he's on penalty. He takes the odd penalty as well. So yeah, but yeah, it's lots to look forward to. I'm
Can
still
I just
must.
ask? Can
Yeah,
I just ask? I mean, we talked a bit about. So, as I said, I was looking at December fixtures. I personally think that because we're at the start of December and there's a crazy month of lots of games, and I think fantasy football wise, if we're doing a public service announcement here, some duty to our listeners, I looked at all 20. There are some horrible ones for some teams, but for me, the favourable ones are Arsenal, Villa, Brighton, possibly Wolves. I think Liverpool are in there. The hardest ones and the ones I'm trying to avoid now are Brentford, Palace, Everton, Fulham, Leicester, Southampton.
yeah.
I mean, some of them you're not going to have probably players for Leicester, Southampton. I'm trying to get out of Fulham. Brentford are in there. They've got tough ones. Palace and Everton, whether you've got them, I'm not
Yeah,
sure. But there are some ones
it's
really to avoid, I think.
it's interesting. One of those teams you mentioned, I think, I'll quickly mention it, is Villa. Had a
Mm,
massive drop off this season in the league.
yeah,
I stuck with Watkins for ages, and then I finally dropped him.
yeah,
He missed some sitters against Chelsea, and then
yeah.
Morgan Rogers. He had three good games. I got him in, and he did do anything for me. They've got two very winnable home games. They
Mm,
need to, if they don't win those two home games, then they are in serious, serious trouble.
yeah.
The nature of the league table is the gap between, you know, even second and then whatever. It's so narrow.
Mm,
A couple of good results and you're climbing up the table. So
yeah.
yeah, I think they've got to do it.
Lumen, this you are Doctor Luman Ali, of course, a doctor of not necessarily anything medical, but of history. And I've got a Dear Doctor advice question for you here, okay? It is from, need to make up a name here, let's say Bavna from Leicester. Um, Bavna says, Dear Doctor, I've just been swiping right on Tinder, and I've connected with a new man, a hunk, a Portuguese hunk, no less. But we went out on a few dates and he's given me hot and cold. One date, hot, another date, absolutely nothing. And at the weekend, we had the best date ever. I don't know where I'm going for my following date and how it's going to go. His name is Ruben Almiron. And I don't know where Manu are standing in the next few game weeks. What do I do with this hunk of a man and this team? Lumen, Man United, draw
Go
at
go
Ipswich.
go all in, go all in, go all
Really?
in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because they for every game that they don't do it, there's another game they will. I've spoken at length about United and clean sheets.
Yeah.
Weird team, concede loads in one game and then keep a clean sheet in another. Onana is definitely been on my radar for ages. It's just a question of can I afford him or not.
Yeah. What about
Especially
going forward now? But this season, all season, like avoid Man United forward
Oh,
players. I like the
Rashford's
players.
Rashford has to be an option now. The
Do you think
guy's
so?
the
Do you
guy's
think so?
yeah,
Seriously?
he's revitalized. He's
Really?
revitalized. The
After a
confidence is
couple
there.
games?
The confidence is there. The confidence is there. So I he's definitely one to consider. And Bruno Fernandez, he's got some points returns recently. He's in my team and he's done it for me for one game.
Mm.
So yeah,
Bruno
I'd go
Fernandez
go all
last
in on Man
four
United.
game weeks. Yeah, Bruno Fernandez last 4 game weeks is 2 assists, 2 goals. He's got a 10, 17, a 2, and a 9. He's at 8.5 million. If you've got some spare cash with Bryan Mbuemo or Erling Haaland, that's money to be
Yeah.
spent. I did not know that Marcus Rashford was a midfielder on the game,
hmm
and I did not know he was under 7 million. Now that's 3 goals in the last 2 games, an 8 and a 14. Is he completing 90? I'm just looking at his numbers. He only completed 90 at the weekend and then not for a long time before that. Yeah, they're giving me a bit of a headache. And also, even this Ahmad Diallo, if he plays and he's been playing 90 under Ruben Amorim, he is at £5 million. Xerxes, I just don't know who's going to start for him, who he fancies. That's the problem.
Bruno will start.
Bruno will
Rashford will
start.
start. Defenders will start certain ones. So there you go.
Mm.
But yeah, I'd go all in on Man United.
All right. Well, it's an early game week deadline. It's tonight, Lumen. 6 o'clock game week deadline for game week 14. Should we very quickly rattle through?
Yes.
Ipswich, Crystal Palace.
Um, Tricky one because Ipswich is like just when you think they're doing well, they pull a result like they did the
Mm.
weekend. I'm going to call it a draw.
Yeah, I think that's a draw as well. I think potentially I'm going to say clean sheet, so I'm not sure. Yeah, draw for me as well. Leicester, West Ham, Ruud van Nistelrooy's Leicester.
Yeah, I think West Ham win this. I think Leicester have got too many problems at the back.
I am going for a freakish Leicester result here. I think
Okay.
they might get a win here. West Ham were. Oh, what a strange game that was. West Ham Arsenal, by the way. Everton Wolves.
Oh God, don't. I hate this game because like
I hate this game.
I've got Cunha in there. Um, I'm going to call it a 0-0 draw because
I
Everton, they
Yeah.
conceded 4 last game, but they've been keeping clean sheets recently. So,
Oh, Everton ever going to score a goal again is my question.
oh,
I
they
have
will against Liverpool on Saturday. There you go.
They don't know where the net is. I think a draw on
Okay.
that one. I think Man City at home to Nottingham Forest. I mean, what if you're a Forest owner or a Wood owner? What a weird game this is. You're going away to Man City. Naturally, you would avoid that game. But this Man City team, where they're at right now, wow! Like
I
maybe you
think
keep them in.
I think Forest, if they do the same tactics they did against Liverpool, they'll get a result. But I think I think Man City are just slowly gonna. Um, it can't last with Haaland, especially.
I,
So yeah, I think
I,
they'll come
I
good.
I don't know. I don't. I think maybe a draw. I know.
Okay,
I know you're thinking it's got to stop at some point. Yeah. But yeah. Forest is strong still. Newcastle at home to Liverpool.
I think Liverpool drop points here. I just think this is Newcastle are just a horrible team to play against. I mean, the they do everything, time wasting and play rough and physical. So I just think it's a dirty game against a dirty team, and I think it'll be a dirty result. I'll call it a draw.
I'm going for a Liverpool win. Mo Salah to score. He comes out in the post-match interview just wearing a crown this time.
Okay.
So every game week so far, last couple, you're like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, this might be my last game. Well, Liverpool's my home. Just I find it fascinating that we're seeing this side of Mo Salah.
Mhm.
Not that it's a bad thing. We had Thierry Henry, possibly the most arrogant player that we've ever had. Like just just ooze this like, who are you talking to? I've never seen this from Mo. It's like, oh, Mo, you got a bit about you here, my friend. And he's like showing people, yeah, look, I'm a big deal. I'm a big
Mhm.
deal. I just find it fascinating that we're seeing this side of Mo. I'm not sure it's rubbing everyone up the right way. However, Southampton to Chelsea, Southampton at home to Chelsea.
Chelsea will win that one. I think we're in agreement with that. They're Chelsea in a
Chelsea will
good
win
run
that
of
one.
form.
Nico Jackson for me, Nico Jackson for me. I said Chelsea's fixtures are looking good. Nico Jackson is someone I'm looking at. With Chris Wood, I'm looking to replace potentially. Arsenal at home to Man United.
Oh, this one's going to be carnage. Arsenal, 13 goals in the last 3 games. They are gonna batter Man United.
I
Um,
hope so.
I it won't just be a win; it'll be a comfortable win.
Well, hopefully, worried at the back, especially with we're talking about Rashford back in. He does like a goal against us. Aston Villa at home to Brentford.
Um, you think that Villa are gonna? They've
Yeah.
got to stop the rut sometimes.
Hmm.
Brentford are horrible at the back,
Yeah. And
but
away.
yeah, but I just think that I think it's a draw. I'll call it a draw. Yeah.
I think Villa are finally winning. Ollie Watkins does this. He's inconsistent, and that's the problem with Ollie Watkins. I think he does find the net in this game. Fulham at home to Brighton.
Um, Tricky one. I mean, with Fulham, they're dogged. They've stayed in there. Raul Jimenez is my team. He just hasn't done it for ages. I need to get him out, but it's hard to get him out. I would have got him out for Joao Pedro, but Joao
Mm,
Pedro didn't have a great game.
no.
You'd think that at home against Southampton he'd do it, but some people captained him as well. So
Yeah.
I'm going to call this one a draw.
I was big on João Pedro, but I just didn't want to break up my holy trinity of Cunha, Wissa, and Wood. Pedro was the guy, but actually, the guy for me is in the next fixture. Evan Nielsen's Bournemouth versus Spurs. Evan Nielsen is someone, whilst he's not been great this season, when you're hot, maybe you go for a player and
Yeah.
try to get on them as quickly as possible. And Evan Nilsson for me is that guy. We know Spurs going away. Spurs just are an open team. Bournemouth, we've got to give them a lot of dues. Bournemouth have been excellent this season.
Yeah.
Semenyo is also back. Bournemouth at home to Spurs. I'm going for a Bournemouth win.
Yeah, I think Spurs drop a level against certain teams, so I wouldn't be surprised if Bournemouth won that. And yeah, if there's one thing I've learned this season is it doesn't matter how well Spurs are playing, do not pick Spurs players. I mean, I was hoping Solanke would get me some points at home this weekend. Not only did they draw, but Solanke wasn't even in the squad
Yeah.
so just I've been burnt by Spurs badly. But looking forward to. I'll be nervous, but we'll be there. We're looking forward to another round.